All right, today we're diving deep into the CrowdStrike 2025 Global Threat Report. And let me tell you, the central takeaway is a massive shift in the threats we're all facing. We're now up against a new breed of threat actor they're calling the enterprising adversary. The game has seriously changed, and the stakes, well, they've never been higher.
The report kicks off with this quote, and honestly, it's not an exaggeration. It's a stark warning, because in this new cyber landscape, underestimation is a fatal error. The adversaries we're dealing with are evolving faster than ever before, and the price of getting it wrong is just too high.
So, what does this new paradigm, this enterprising adversary, actually look like? Well, the core idea is that these threat actors are now operating with the ruthless efficiency of a major corporation. Seriously, think of them as dark side startups. They have business plans, they have KPIs, and they have a relentless focus on ROI. They're not just spraying attacks anymore. They're targeting victims with surgical precision, all for profit.
And the scale of this is just massive. Right now, CrowdStrike is actively tracking 257 distinct adversary groups. 26 of those are brand new just in the last year. These groups are organized into 140 active clusters, basically forming a global threat ecosystem. But here's the number that should really get your attention. They are getting unbelievably fast. The average breakout time, that's the time it takes for them to go from that initial compromise to moving laterally inside your network, is now down to just 48 minutes. 48 minutes. That's the window you have to react.
So how are they achieving that kind of speed? How are they moving that fast? Well, the main way in isn't just about software exploits anymore. It's about us, the human element. They are weaponizing people through incredibly sophisticated AI-powered social engineering, and it's terrifyingly effective.
The star player in this new game is Vishing, or voice phishing. And it is absolutely devastating because it completely bypasses your technical defenses. It doesn't care about your firewall. It targets our own human nature, our instinct to trust. A convincing AI-generated voice on the phone can get an adversary the keys to the kingdom just by asking nicely.
Let me walk you through just how fast this happens. Take a group they call Curly Spider. First, they'll flood a user's inbox with spam to create a problem. Then, the phone rings. It's someone claiming to be from IT support, offering to help fix the issue. They guide the user to install a perfectly legitimate remote tool, and boom, they're in. They've established persistence, meaning they now have long-term control. This whole thing can be over in minutes, sometimes before the user even hangs up the phone.
And don't think for a second that this is just one group's trick. Curly Spider isn't an anomaly. We're seeing different e-crime groups adapt Vishing for their own specific goals. Chatty Spider uses it for data theft and extortion, with ransoms hitting $8 million. Plump Spider, down in Brazil, uses it for direct wire fraud. The method is the same: exploit human trust to get around all the tech.
And generative AI? It's basically pouring gasoline on this fire. It's a massive force multiplier for these adversaries. It tears down language barriers, it crafts perfectly convincing scripts, it can even clone voices and create deepfake videos. It makes these attacks scalable and frighteningly believable. And if you want hard data, look at this. A recent study found that phishing messages created by large language models had a staggering 54% click-through rate. Compare that to just 12% for messages written by humans. You see? AI isn't just a small upgrade for them, it's a quantum leap in their ability to manipulate and deceive.
Okay, so let's zoom in on one adversary that really embodies this new era of blended, highly sophisticated threats. We're going to look at a very active state nexus group known as famous Chollima.
This group is linked to North Korea, and they are one of the most active adversaries tracked this year. Now, what makes them so unique is their two-pronged attack. They're running traditional cyber operations, hacking and whatnot, but at the exact same time, they're running these incredibly sophisticated campaigns to place their own people as malicious insiders inside their target companies.
And their reach is truly global. They're hitting the technology, education, and energy sectors the hardest, with the United States being their #1 target. This isn't some regional problem. We're talking about a well-resourced global operation.
So what is their most audacious, most effective tool for getting inside these companies? It's not a zero-day exploit. It's not a fancy piece of malware. It's a job offer. They are literally getting hired by the very companies they plan to compromise.
And they are using our own tools against us to do it. They're using generative AI to create fake but convincing social media profiles. They're even using it to help them pass remote job interviews. Once they get the job, the company sends them a brand new laptop, which they then immediately ship off to what's called a laptop farm. And just like that, they have a trusted, credentialed device sitting inside the network, ready to steal IP or just quietly collect a paycheck.
So hearing all this, the critical question becomes, how in the world do we fight back? The good news is, the report doesn't just leave us with the problems. It lays out a clear framework for a counteroffensive. So let's break down what we need to be doing.
Look, to defend against an enterprising adversary, you have to have an enterprising defense. It's that simple. This means you have to be conducting regular security audits, especially of your SaaS providers. It means implementing monitoring that's based on user behavior, not just old-school signatures. And crucially, it means continuous, relentless security awareness training to arm your people against social engineering. And finally, you have to enforce secure configurations to shrink your attack surface.
And that brings us to the final, challenging conclusion of the report. The adversaries are out there, and they're absolutely weaponizing AI to automate, scale, and supercharge their attacks. The only way to effectively counter that is with an AI-native approach to defense. So the question every single organization has to answer right now isn't if they'll face these threats, but if they're actually prepared for when they do.